So here's the thing about Mr. Peanutbutter and all of his failed relationships in Bojack Horseman. They are entirely indicative of the pop culture fads of whatever time they started in, and I don't think that's a coincidence. It's well addressed in the show that Mr. Peanutbutter repeatedly dates women in their 20s, which is why they keep changing into other people, eventually creating friction between them and Mr. Peanutbutter, who doesn't change. But have you ever noticed the stereotypes of women that he chooses to be with? I'd like to thank specifically @AbstractSam with 2 M's for pointing this out to me, but Mr. Peanutbutter generally chooses women who fit the pop culture trends of the time that they got together, and I suspect that this stems from a personality trait called sociotropy. Sociotropy is a trait that describes people who have a need to be socially accepted by others. People with this trait place an inordinate amount of value on their relationships with other people and their current standing with those around them. I think this is likely what contributes to Mr. Peanutbutter conforming his personality to fit the most popular culture of that time. Just think about how much his lingo changes in the different decades we see him.
Believe you me, this party is going to be dope. Booyah! It'll be off the easy fo sheezy. OMG, it's gonna be cray-cray. Turnt.
And as an extension of that, it's why the women he dates are also exemplary of those culture shifts. That way, he can show to everyone, look at me, I know what you're all talking about, and I am cool just like you, in fact. Side note, people with sociotropy often feel depression when their interpersonal relationships are taken away or not going well. Mr. Peanutbutter literally has nothing to do when Diane isn't home earlier in the series in season 2, or when she leaves for Cordovia. He just sits there, gloomily, or distracts himself with vapid parties. He doesn't really think about taking care of himself or what he actually wants. He only thinks about that other person. But let's go back and take a look at the evidence. We don't get a lot of information about Katrina, his first wife, before things deteriorated between them, but from what I can tell from her style and how she speaks to Mr. Peanutbutter before the Halloween party, she seems to represent the independent, free-spirited girl that the 90s were kinda known for. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't super apparent. I'm reading hard into her clothes, hairstyle, and mannerisms. She kind of has that Rachel cut that was super popular in the 90s, and the way she spins around and kind of floats freely, makes smart quips, and teases Mr. Peanutbutter makes me think she fits the type of it girl from that time. Honestly, I might be reaching with this one, but I do think that she could fit. Let me know if there's any other culture trend from the 90s that you think Katrina fits better along with. Things become much more apparent with his second wife, Jessica Biel. The girl next door trend was real popular in the early 2000s, and Jessica Biel was known in the public eye for that type of persona. I mean, they're literally also going as characters from The Notebook. Well, Mr. Peanutbutter is going as a notebook, and she is going as Rachel McAdams' character from The Notebook. Quite a girl next door character. What's more intriguing, though, is that this was also the height of her career. We first see them together in 2004, where she's hot off the release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Rules of Attraction wasn't far behind, and she's about to star in Blade Trinity with Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes. Not a great movie, mind you, but still a blockbuster, by all means with an A-list cast that she was a part of with a high billing. My point being, it's rather convenient that they happened to begin dating when she was at her most popular point in her career, or at least when her career was really on the rise. She's still doing well today, by the way, not to diss Jessica Biel, although Bojack Horseman loves to diss Jessica Biel. Now, Diane, while not successful or famous when they got together, was definitely representative of the hipster stereotype that was popular in the late 2000s, early 2010s. She works at the Starbucks, she's a struggling writer, she's very outspoken about social issues, she's very naive, and she wants to make it in Hollywood. Actually, no. It was Hollywood at that time. Wow, so rare. She fits so well into the new desired archetype from that time period, and it happens to be perfect timing for Mr. Peanutbutter, as his relationship with Jessica Biel is about to implode. On that note, it has to be said how Mr. Peanutbutter finds Diane almost immediately after he and Jessica split up. Like, he was sad, but so ready to move on to the next big thing, as Hollywood is often wont to do. I'll get more into this later. This is also further exhibiting that trait of sociotropy because he cannot be alone. He physically will not let himself live on his own. He has to be with someone. He has to be entertaining someone. And Pickles obviously represents the trending culture of today. She's an online influencer. She's hyper exuberant, she craves attention, hey, just like Mr. Peanutbutter, and is a little bit dramatic. They don't fall short of conveying that Pickles is a woman of her time, even giving you a transformation of her online profile from when she started to where she is now with her thousands of fans. And that's another thing. Pickles is not only exemplative of the prevalent trends in the 2020s, but she also has a ton of fans. Now listen, I am not saying that Mr. Peanutbutter is some shallow, fame-seeking user. Far from it. The show, through Diane, does say, and I believe it to be true,
I was a rebound. and he loved me so much for 10 years.
That he does love all of these women that he's with all of his heart when he's with them. But I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of his relationships have either been with archetypes that were popular at the time or other famous celebrities. Mr. Peanut Butter is a man that craves attention. Or, sorry, dog that craves attention. I mean, he is a lab and his personality is built like a lab. He wants people all over to like him, and he loves being the center of attention. He could talk to anyone for years, evidenced by Erica.
You know you're not allowed to vote in national elections.
He just loves to entertain. It's pure dog behavior. I mean, he had no dreams to become an actor. That was not what he wanted to do with his life when he was younger. But he stumbled into a studio and just started talking to the audience because they were giving him feedback and praise. What dog, or honestly person, wouldn't be drawn to that? So after his show ended and he's not in the limelight anymore, he stays relevant, or at least keeps himself feeling relevant, by being with women who are extremely popular or are seen as the ideal woman of the time. Women that he feels are at the forefront of the public eye, whether they're actually famous or not. And this is also why he has trouble listening or paying attention when those women voice concerns that aren't like the archetype that he thought they were. He thought Katrina was free-spirited enough that he could just leave her alone the whole Halloween party, but she actually needed his support because it's extremely stressful. He thought Diane was the laid-back hipster who could be chill, but the party actually made her extremely anxious, and he wasn't listening to her when she said she wanted to go home. Like I said, I don't think this is done particularly maliciously or even consciously on his part. Obviously, he isn't checking the trades to see who's on the up and up and then stalking them until they're his, but I just think that he easily falls victim to whatever culture's around him. He wants to have a good time, to be happy, and for the people around him to be happy. He's a people pleaser, so he tends to drift toward whatever is in the mainstream at that time. And especially since they're in Hollywood, where the mainstream culture is so aggressive and in your face, it's very easy to stay on the pulse, and it's hard not to go with the crowd, especially when you are sociotropic. And the women that he's with might have been raised up in that mainstream culture, but always eventually outgrew it. Katrina changed from that free-spirited progressive to a more cruel, controlling conservative. Jessica went from the sweet girl next door to, presumably, having an affair with another man and immersing herself fully into the toxic Hollywood culture, and Diane went from the naive hipster to the jaded, tired adult writer. While he just looks for the next trend to keep the good times rolling, without ever really stopping to examine his own behavior or why he was actually with any of those women. Until Diane points this out to him, and he takes a hard look at Pickles. I love the moment at the end of Mr. Peanut Butter's booze, where Pickles encourages them to go to another party, and Mr. Peanut Butter does not seem excited to go. He's realized that whatever's right in front of the public eye is not actually what he wants out of his life, and he shouldn't be finding partners based on that. He needs to focus on himself, which sociotropic people have a hard time doing. And all of this is why I think it's so fantastic that Mr. Peanut Butter did not end up in a relationship with anyone by the end of the series. Not only that, but he was okay with it too. His final analysis of his past failed relationships really drives the point of this video home, where he says,
"But it's never really about the women. It's about me."
He wasn't focusing enough on whether or not these women were actually good matches for him, or honestly what their personality was behind their archetypes. Mostly because he didn't even know what he wanted. He just assumed that he wanted what everybody else wanted whenever they wanted it. Frankly, probably so he could feel like he fits in and feel like everybody likes him. And he just jumped headfirst into all of these relationships, not really getting to know any of these women, because frankly, if they fit the archetype, what else did he need to know? And that's why he needs to focus more on himself by the end of the series. He needs to figure out exactly what it is he's even aiming for, not just in relationships, but for the rest of his own life. Does he need someone to be happy? Can he function without someone to lean on? What does he want professionally from his career? Is birthday dad enough for him? Apparently it is, I think, by the way. These are all questions that he needs to work out for himself before he even tries a relationship with another woman, and I'm glad he was able to realize that and find some solace in being alone by the end of the series. It was really a very smart end for Mr. Peanut Butter's character. And I hope that later in life, he's able to find a woman that complements his own personality rather than the aspects of the decade. If that's what he wants, there is always comfort to be found in going it alone as well. I think it's very interesting to imagine him in the future growing fully past those sociotropic tendencies and being able to be fully comfortable alone and just focus on himself. It is a scale, so I don't know if it's healthy to go all the way in the other way, but I should probably just end this video. This video was supposed to end like 2 paragraphs ago. Could you tell? Did you notice? And anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think in the comments. If you think my analysis of Mr. Peanutbutter's personality is correct, or the pop culture trends that his girlfriends were following at the times, or wives. He got married like all of those times, so. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider going to patreon.com/PosiTVty, that's PosiTVty. There, you can get all these videos early. You get the full unedited essays, so you can hear me mess up 1,000 times. This one was rather bad. Patrons are getting treated. It's probably gonna be much longer than the actual edit. But those are fun, and you also can join for free if you don't want to pay, just so you can get free 2-minute previews of the videos before they actually hit YouTube. But you can also see our full reactions and vote whatever you want to see on the channel. But also just let me know what you want to see in the comments below. I always appreciate hearing your feedback. This video was pretty much entirely someone else's idea. Again, thank you, Abstract Sam, Absolute Queen. We love. I don't know where I was going at the end of this video. I forgot what I was gonna say. So let me know in the comments, because you never know if your 2-sentence comment will inspire a 20-minute rambling session where I go off on 16 tangents. So, but I'll see you guys for the next video. Yeah, hopefully it's cleaner than this one. Whoops.